Welcome to the Wingate Way, a show about what is best and unique about Wingate, the people, of course. This week, we caught up with Dr. Paige Rawson, Assistant Professor of Religion, and we had a very animated and very passionate conversation about the path that led her here and what she found most fulfilling about her work. If you know Dr. Paige Rawson, you know what we mean, and if you don't, you're about to find out. Take us back a little bit and share with us what's that origin story? You know, where does that find roots? Does it find roots in your upbringing, or can you pinpoint a specific event in your life that you may say was the moment where life called for your attention?
Wow. Wow. I would have to say that it has been this feeling, this sense has been building in my life since I was young, absolutely. I initially felt called to the ministry, actually. And so that's exactly what I did. I went and got my Master of Divinity. And before that, I had been on mission in Singapore. I lived in Southeast Asia for about 3 years and was traveling around there. And in that time, prior to that, actually, I had been pretty conservative evangelical Christian. And felt like God had called me to this greater purpose, and that was evangelism at the time. I thought, while I was in Singapore, having friends who are Muslim and Buddhist and spending time with them, I feel like I got converted rather than I did the converting. And my concept of God and God's love and God's face and God's being in the world was exploded. And I began to see God, or spirit, you know, I mean, I think we just have different names, right? I began to see, you know, in my Muslim friends who were praying to Allah, I began to see this thing that I had known as Christ's love and redemption power and salvation. I saw it in them. And that's what began to transform me through those conversations and really listening and seeing people and caring deeply. And it's interesting because I had been committed to the ministry, and I thought maybe a more ecumenical or interfaith kind of thing. And the more time that I spent studying the Bible and studying Hebrew and Greek and actually being an activist in the world, going to the Philippines and doing fact-finding missions, and going to the Caribbean, and actually spending time in Rwanda and Uganda, hearing the stories, and going to the Gacaca, right? They're doing reparations after the genocide, and it just got bigger. It kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I thought, you know what? Maybe what I could do is work around race, dismantling racism. I could work around gender and sexuality. I identify as queer, and that's a whole nother huge part of my story, right? Is growing up conservative, Southern Baptist, and dealing with my own issues, and feeling rejected by God, and then coming to a place where I was like, no way, like we are all love, you know? Anyhow, so then I decided maybe I'd be of most use in the university, dealing with students who, like me, because when I was in college, that's when I was really wrestling with my sexuality and wrestling with all these other sort of issues and thinking about intersectionality. And of course, at that point, Kimberly Crenshaw had not created this term, so that's not what I wasn't using that terminology, but just understanding that there's this, like, a lot of oppression. And again, I was in the South at this point, and so like really being aware of the racism and the social stratification and the fact that even still there are forms of slavery that are in effect here in the United States and beyond, and I'm going all over the place. But I felt like maybe I could be of most benefit teaching students that are 18, 19, 20, 21, trying to figure out who they are and really starting to deconstruct some of these things. and deal with their own identity. So.
Terrific. Wow. Well, it just sounds like a very interesting story. You have siblings. What talk to us about the family structure.
So my parents are still married, and my siblings are both younger than me. I have a sister and a brother, and they actually are wildly supportive of who I am and embraced me when I came out. I mean, this was, gracious, like 14 years ago now. Okay. And my sister has a son and a daughter. They're 6 and 4, who I absolutely love. I mean, joy of my life. In fact, I just saw them this weekend, and my dad, I don't know how personal I need to get, but my father is actually today still in surgery. He's having his prostate removed because he was diagnosed with cancer. So wow. We've been dealing with some of that. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's wild, you know? I mean, I feel like so much of life is the good and the bad, and holding both. Wow. And understanding that in life there's always death, and in death there is always life, and being able to get comfortable with that and being okay with being vulnerable around those things. And I feel as though for my parents it's been a lot harder, the trajectory of my life and what I chose to do. I think initially when I was a minister, they were very excited, and I was gonna get married to a man, and you know, and continue if they wanted me to stay in the Southern Baptist Church, and I was like, well, first of all, I can't actually be a minister in the Southern Baptist Church because I couldn't preach, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's what I want to do, which is kind of funny because I guess teaching in some sense is that, although I definitely lean toward dialogue. I feel like it's more important to actually have conversations. But initially, they were just, I mean, they didn't talk to me for a while. Wow. But it was funny because I actually, I determined, when you were asking about my story and my journey, and I got really sick when I came out. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was in the hospital for about a month. Wow. And I was diagnosed with multiple diseases, and it was interesting because during that time I realized that that it was because my faith and who I really was were in conflict, and this was my mid-20s. So this was after I'd been in Singapore. I came back to the States, and I got really sick, and I during that time realized, just from a number of conversations and really just being stripped, I mean, I felt so low and depressed. I was like, I am not being authentic to who I am. Yeah. And that required me telling my parents who I really was and moving to San Francisco. And that's where I did I moved to Berkeley, and that's where I did my master's, I did my MDiv, and then I did my MA. And after that, I went and got my PhD in biblical studies and in women and gender studies, and it took my parents a little while to embrace what I was doing and who I was, but it's happened. It happened.
I mean, certainly they have to be proud of the trajectory of your life at this point, and the work that you're doing and the impact that you're having on young minds and young people. So there's no doubt they have come around.
Yes, you're right. You're right. They definitely have. I mean, it's amazing now, and I feel that. And I mean, just on that topic of gratitude, I couldn't be more grateful for the trajectory of my life, right? Yeah. For my story, for the journey, and the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, everything in between, and for the fact that I have never wanted for support. Yeah. I mean, whether that was my actual family or the folks that have become my tribe, you know, the people that really have supported me. And I mean, I probably the foremost in those that, I mean, aside from my partner, those who are beyond my family of origin has been my mentor, Althea Spencer Miller, and just the way that she has embraced who I am fully and helped me to do work in orality and wisdom and Afro-Caribbean hermeneutics. And I mean, there were things that I was interested in that for my family, they're like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people, right, in my community of origin were like, what is going on? But you have to, and maybe this is the greatest wisdom that I could offer from my experience to my students, is you've got to hear that voice. You've got to be true to that voice. And it may not make sense to anyone else, but you have got to go with that. Yeah. You know, and you have to trust that voice, right? Because I feel like too often there are too many others, whether it be the adults in your life or the church, or, you know, maybe it is your parents, or, you know, maybe the systems or structures, right, that would want to prevent you from becoming fully who you are. You just have to stay true to that calling, if you will.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. So there's no doubt choosing to come to a small school in the South, that you had, you know, probably excited about the adventure ahead, but had some apprehension. So what has surprised you most about being at Wingate that you didn't anticipate?
Right. Genuinely, it's the community.
Okay.
I have met people here that I connect with, and I did not anticipate that. I mean, I really thought that I would be coming here and might feel a little isolated, or just because of who I am.
I have to say, you make it difficult to isolate.
I know.
I remember vividly the first time meeting you, and you just sucked me into your world and into your bubble, right? Like with this like bright smile and these wide eyes, and I was sucked in. So I have to say, you make it very difficult for people to, you know, just shun you or to set you aside. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, but we all, I mean, I have to be honest, right? It's not like I wake up always feeling amazing. I mean, that's the other thing, is I feel like in so many ways, you know, you're in a good place and you're with people who are loved when you can resonate with them. Yeah. And I feel like we get energy from each other. Yeah. And so, you know, you know, I mean, there are times that I feel completely insecure, and like that's one of the things I think that I want to be honest about, is the times that I question who I am, and even in coming here, question, was this the right thing for me? Yeah. Is this really going to be a place where I can make a difference? I mean, and there have been, you know, definitely obstacles. Yeah. And there have been moments where I questioned if I was going to get the support that I needed. But I always feel like when it's not coming from a place where I'm expecting it, it's going to come from the place where I need it. Okay. And this is one of the things that I feel like often hinders us from being present, is those expectations, right? And even from being grateful, because I feel like often if we're looking and seeking and trying to get, right? I mean, there's a way in which, especially when you're an academic, and I shudder even using that term, but maybe an intellectual or someone who is interested in this kind of work. There's a way in which you always want to, what about the book? Or what about the school where everybody knows that one though, right? Or what about the title? What about a tenure track? I've got to make sure, right? There's always the next thing, rather than actually being able to sit in the moment and totally be fully engaged in this and doing exactly what you need to do right here and right now. And I feel like that, just being grateful in this moment, is what is enabling me to be present enough to do the work here now, and just being right here, you know, being right here, being in the now, yeah.
No. Terrific. Do you find, is there one piece of advice that you find yourself giving to students over and over again?
That's a great question. One piece of advice that I find myself giving. I think it's probably, maybe it is to be grateful, but possibly not just gratitude, but I think it is to be in the now and to be in awe. To be in awe. One of the things that I love, you asked about my siblings, one of the things that I love about being with my sister's kids is that, in fact, that's one of the reasons why I have no voice right now, because we were laughing hysterically the whole time, right? But so often the only time that we do that, I mean, this is going to sound really funny, but do this gesture is when we're kids, right? When we grow up, we're so much more aware of our mannerisms, and we try to control our face, and we try to control our body, and one of the things that I don't want to do, as much as as unprofessional as it seems, is I don't want to do that. I don't want to stifle my energy or my awe. And so I feel like that's the thing that I want to stress with my students, right? Is be in awe, be in wonder, be excited, ask better questions, ask more questions. If you're curious, do it. Wonder, really. I mean, even the word awe, it causes you to open your mouth. You know what I mean? But it's like, when was the last time that you just stood there and just went, whoa? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's it. And that's what learning is. It's constantly, being aware that there are things that you don't know. Now all of my O's, my mouth is opening. I'm like, but right, the things that you don't know, and just staying in that awareness. There are things that I don't know, and just being curious and never getting complacent in that, or feeling like you've got it. Yeah. Maybe that's it with kids, right? They are always aware that there's more to see and there's more to know, and there's,
Yeah. And I think probably a follow-up to that question is there something that you see students worry about, but with experience that they just shouldn't worry about it. But at the moment, it consumes them.
Yes. You know what I'm going to say. I know. Well, actually, maybe you don't, but you could possibly be telepathic. But yes, they're concerned about what everybody else is thinking about them, right? Okay. I mean, like I told you, it's like if I was so concerned with professionalism, and I think that it's actually maybe it's not necessarily benefited me that I don't always maintain composure. Maybe I would be in some other higher position if I wore my hair like this, or I did, But I mean, the reality is, when it's all said and done, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't. I mean, it's a total waste of time, and I mean, that is it. That's it. And maybe this is even better answer to your previous question as well. No. Don't be concerned. What they think about you is none of your business. Yeah.
So it seems in our conversation that at your best, you are present and grateful.
Yes.
And mindful.
Yes.
Oh,
you're so good. Yes.
Compassion and empathy for others. But this person doesn't show up every day.
Yes,
right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So how do we bring her back? How do you bring her back on days where she's just not there?
Yeah.
And she's hidden
and she's and she's like operating at a slower energy, or she's dwelling in the worry. I mean, I think that's, for me, it always comes back to being in a space of meditation and gratitude. I have to realize one of the things, so I've been thinking about this because I'm actually, and this is what's so ironic, as in academia, right, we're always working on sort of these like really deep philosophical, more theoretical pieces that are very dense. But one of the things that I've been thinking about and working on is a book on gratitude specifically.
Okay.
So I won't go specifically into it, but I love alliteration. I love, I love to actually utilize words and the power of words, right? That's one thing that Maya Angelou, who has been a mentor of mine from afar, I had an opportunity to meet her in San Francisco, but she always talks about the power of words, right? That words actually do things, and I have been thinking about this acrostic with actually the phrase thank you. And the A in this is to acknowledge the past, right? Acknowledge where you've been, to accept where you are right now, and to be in awe of what is to come, right? And I think for me, it's really being in meditation and just saying thank you. Okay. Just being in that space, coming back to the now, knowing that the only thing that really matters is this moment. Yeah. I can't do anything about what just happened,
Yeah.
and I'm not yet able to do something about it, but right now can affect change.
Do you actually have a specific practice that anchors you in that present moment?
That's a good question. I mean, it'd just be breathing. That's it. It really is. It's just coming back to my breath. And Tonglen is a Buddhist practice, right? That sort of focusing on the breath in and out, and just coming back to my breath. And I mean, it's really, really important for me to. I actually am thankful. My office is on the roof of the new building.
Yes. It's a great office.
It's amazing.
It is.
So it's funny because people have said to me, "Oh, but don't you want a space on your own?" And I'm like, "What? I'm not into the whole Virginia Woolf or room of one's own. I realize that it's important to have that, and I also think that collaboration is really important. And so it's helped me. In the office, I share the office with 2 other professors, and one in particular, Usha Sanyal, has really been such an important kindred spirit for me in that time. But what I'll do is I'll actually go. Maybe we shouldn't share this with anyone, hopefully, or maybe we could. But I'll go out onto the roof, and it's just far enough away so that I can take a moment, I can breathe, right? I'm still here on campus, but I'm in a space where I can actually gain some perspective, right? Sun on my face, or maybe not that day, you know. Look at the trees, and just breathe. Just breathe, just remember, right? And it's always love that I come back to, always, right? I mean, that's the thing that connects us, so.
Terrific. So you spoke about the community at Wingate and the people and how welcome you felt when you were on campus. Is there somebody on campus that you would say embodies the Wingate Way? What makes this place so unique and wonderful?
That is a really hard question. One person that embodies it. I don't know that I could say that.
Since it's you, we'll let you pick 2.
Who embodies the Wingate Way? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I really have to think about that. One person. Yeah, I don't know if I could say for sure. I mean, ironically, it might be my students. More than. So maybe I'm messing up this answer.
No, you are not. I
actually think it's my students that have embodied the Wingate Way.
Why? And how?
So I have a student right now. I have one student. Her name is Dezoria Hobbs, and she had a course with me her freshman year, GPS 110, first semester freshman year. And she started to talk to me about this cheer club she wanted to start. Yeah. And I said, okay. And I thought, cheerleading, what do you want to do? You know, we don't need any more cheerleaders for the football team or the whatever, you know. And then I said, well, why don't you think more on it and come back to me? Come to find out, she actually, and this was this semester, the beginning of this semester, she comes back to me, she said, Dr. Rawson, she said, I've got it. Stomp and shake. It's going to be stomp and shake so that the black women on campus, and we're going to open it up to whoever, but we can have a group that represents us here. She said, this is a PWI, right? And it's difficult, I'm not going to lie, to be a person of color, you know what I mean? And I said, I hear you. And she said, but I believe that this group is going to make a difference on campus. And she had a full-on business plan. She was like, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and she's done it. Yeah, she started the group.
So the group actually had a little performance during homecoming on the promenade. I know. And we were blown away by the performance and the power to it. And so now we can connect the dots and get a sense of the inception of the group.
Yes, but that's the thing is, it's like, when we had been having conversations this time, and I was like, all right, what do you? But even the we worked on that together. I was like, okay. And it's funny because initially I was like, you sure you want me to be the one that's working together? And she's like, yes. And I think it's because when you see someone, you see someone. Yeah. And I want exactly what she's doing. And I really believe that that's the Wingate Way. Yeah. Students feeling empowered, knowing their truth, and wanting to do something to make to affect change on the campus, to create community, you know, and that's it. I mean, if there's any way, speaking to just the fact that this is sort of rooted in this idea of wisdom, right? The wisdom at Wingate and who our community is.
In high school and middle school, I cheered. And it's, you know, traditional cheering and then a stomp and shake cheerleading, which is just a different form of cheerleading. It incorporates different things. And I wasn't quite ready to hang up my pom-poms. And I was like, now who is going to be my advisor? It wasn't someone who cheered before. It was someone who would believe in where I'm trying to take my organization. And that was Dr. Rawson, and we talked about it, and she was like, yes. She was so excited, and it just motivated me to actually do it. Dr. Rawson is someone that you can connect with beyond academics. You know, she's concerned, she cares about what you do, how are you, you know. For someone to just look at you and just be like, how are you doing? Rather than, what are your grades looking like? You know, you get that from your parents all the time. What your grades like? Just to meet someone who's just ready to be a part and ready to help in any way they can is essential to like growth. And even when I talk to some of my teammates and we have our conversations, just to know the small impact that being a part of something has made on their life already, it's overwhelming, and I'm just so appreciative for the opportunity to be able to do that.
She is bringing her wisdom. Right. She is bringing her truth, and she's doing something on campus about it. And it's really, I believe, changing the temperature here, changing the atmosphere, changing the ethos, you know? And maybe, if anything, that's what Wingate is. I mean, it's a constantly changing community. Yeah. It's all ever evolving, right?
Our president calls it adaptation.
Adaptation, precisely. That's a great way to put it. That's it, yes. Oh yes, he puts it well. But that's it. That's exactly right. Being able to adapt and being able to change and grow and in the ways that we are. You know, and I have other students just like this, right? I was a part of this group called Tree of Life, and it was an interfaith group, you know, and we've taken a break for a little while, but really just trying to think about how we want to evolve and adapt. And, you know, other students of mine, I'm thinking of George Mayo, who has really become an active voice. You know, he is really utilizing his own intersectionality really to speak up and to make a change on campus. And, you know, I mean, it's a...
So when you are not using your voice to empower and to change others, and you are not creating a platform for others to do the same, what do you do? What do you do to relax, to unwind?
I love to be outside. I love to hike. You know, my partner and I, we love to travel. I mean, honestly, I spend a lot of time doing Wingate stuff outside at home. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, it really is my life. Maybe I don't hate to say it. Maybe that's a great thing, right? That I love my job so much that it's something that I can do beyond campus and that I do. But yeah, I mean, I'm still seeking a spiritual community where we feel at home, where, you know, always doing something active. I love to climb, and I love to run and to hike. Yeah, fantastic. I also love to dance.
To dance?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're an honorary member of a stomping club. I almost feel like at some point we should, like, yes, you know, I feel like at some point you need to like just give us the whole thing.
I know. Zuri's been talking to me about it. We'll see. Oh man.
So now we're gonna have to hold you back. We'll hold you to that.
Okay, you'll hold me to it. All right, we'll see.
Good.